So I'm sitting here just sipping on my haracha, thinking about the fact that I think I want to be the first ever official single dad cast member of Love Island USA. How dope would that be? Just first of all, right off the bat, I haven't actually fact checked the reality that there might have already been another single parent on the show before. I'm just, for the sake of my own narrative on this podcast, I'm just going to assume that there never has been one. And I don't want to be the first. I want to be the number one SP to enter the villa, searching for the love, the connection, all of those things. I just think that would be dope. I think that would be amazing. But not just for the fact that I would be doing it as a single dad, but for the fact that I would just be doing it as just a regular person. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, if you're watching the video version of this podcast, you could very clearly see I'm not an IG model with 6-pack abs. Like, can you hear that? Yeah, that's my dad-bod. That's my belly. I would be walking in with the belly as, again, I sip on my sugary beverage. Oh, no, my straw's broken. Okay, but anyways, wouldn't that be nice? Just a regular dude with a regular bod, with a regular life, with not, have millions of followers, even thousands of followers yet, unless you guys, go like all the IGs for the podcast, go do that. But I just don't have all that stuff, and so I drive a normal car. I take kids to and from school. I'm not, again, this beautiful looking magazine model who sells medical equipment around the country, or who's in marketing. They're always in marketing on those shows for some reason. Just a dude. And I think the people deserve somebody who represents somebody who's probably more like them when it comes to all of those things. Then we love all those people on those reality shows. Many of us have fallen in love with so many of those folks, especially over this summer. Love Island, it really took the country by storm. We were all glued to our TVs checking it out. We love Rob and Leah and the PBG and Janae and all those things. If you guys, we know we love them. But how cool would it be for me just to show up and just be the dorky, goofy, single dad king that I am, and show the world that, hey, us SPs, yeah, we can dominate that space too. We can conquer the villa. We can find love. We can do the thing. Man, I just think that would be dope. I think that would be dope. Hello all, by the way, Anthony here. Welcome to the season premiere, the fall 2024 season premiere of the Single Parents Podcast. This is a podcast for anybody whose life may have turned out a little less than traditional. I'll kind of break down more about why I want to fill out that Love Island casting application here in a second, but I just want to take a moment to say thank you for checking out the podcast. Maybe you've been on this journey with us for a while, and you're normal, beautiful, loyal SP, hot SP. We love to see you. We love to see what you're all about. Thank you so much for just sticking around for another season. We appreciate it. It's going to be a fun season, and I'm excited to share just some goals, some ambitions, some thoughts, some hopes, some dreams with you all about this upcoming season that I have. Been thinking about this stuff all summer, and we're going to get into it, like I said, in just a moment. But for all of those new SPs coming in, all those new single parents out there, or just people in general who want to check out the show, who just look at their life, and maybe back in the day, they were told, like, hey, your life needs to look like this very basic, cookie cutter, generic, American nuclear family standard version of what a life needs to look like. You need to have the white picket fence. You need to have the 2.5 kids. You need to have the spouse. You need to have the 2.4 car garage door. That didn't make any sense, but you gotta have all that stuff. And then some of us might just look around, and after being told and kind of fed that our whole lives, might look at our lives currently and just be like, my reality didn't exactly turn out to be that. Maybe my family dynamic doesn't look exactly like that when it comes to being in a traditional marriage. Maybe I was married, went through a divorce. Maybe I never got married, but I still have kids. Maybe I'm with somebody, but we're not. All these different things, all these different scenarios. This show is just for people who want to know that they're not alone in the fact that life just isn't always black and white. Sometimes there's some gray in there. Sometimes there's some light blue. I think that's what my jacket is. There's some of this color in there, and that's okay, and that's all good, and you're still awesome nonetheless. That's the show. That's what we're all about. So thank you all for tuning in for another season. Before we get too deep into the juicy stuff, if you wouldn't mind, there's a few things I'd like to ask you to do. First thing I would just ask you to do is just maybe share the podcast. Share the podcast with the friend, with the family member, with the hot new bombshell who's entered your villa. Just spread the show around. That way we can keep bringing more people in and building up the voices that is this community. Second thing I'd ask you to do is just maybe write a tasty review or leave a tasty review. Leave a hot review. Leave a lovely review of the show on whatever podcast hosting platform that you're listening to it on. Perhaps, if you ask me, exactly what you should do. If you want my advice, you want my 2 cents, yeah, that 5-star review, baby. That was 5-star reviews. Very demure, very mindful. We love to see it. But only do it if you think the show's worthy. That just, we're authentic. We're just trying our best, all right? We're trying our best to give you guys that good. So if you really do appreciate the show and love being a part of the show, perhaps leave that review so we can show the algorithms out there the show's legit, pass it along to more people. And then last but not least, I would just say perhaps considering subscribing to the podcast. Subscribe so you never miss an episode in the future. This is just the season premiere. We got months and weeks of this stuff going on. We got exciting guests who are going to pop in. We have some things, especially next week. I'm going to get into some things that I went through over the summer that, I got some stuff to get off my chest. So you won't want to miss that. So just make sure you subscribe, turn on automatic download so you never miss an episode in the future. And then just leave some comments. Yeah, if the podcast hosting platform or the platform you're choosing to consume this show allows you to leave comments, then please feel free to leave your comments. We want to hear your voice. I don't want the show just to be me yapping all the time. I want you to feel like you are also your co-host on the show with me. Let's just say that. And so I need to hear from my co-hosts, hot SPs out there. Make sure that you just do all of the things so we can get your voices involved. So, Love Island USA, I'm going to be the first single dad cast member in history. I, again, didn't fact check to see if that's actually going to be true when we're manifesting this, when I get on the show. But, it's going to happen, and it's going to be amazing. 2025, summer 2025, you're going to want to mark your calendars for that already. Actually, to be straight up, I actually did pull up the application for the Love Island casting thing. Well, first of all, I get nervous applying for these reality shows because, how do I say this while still giving love and respect for myself? I'm not a young 20-year-old anymore. So I know the whole point of me trying to go on the show, my thing, right, is the fact that I'm just going to be a regular Joe on the show, dad-bod, normal car, normal life, all those things. So we get that. But the fact of the reality is they just practically usually cast people who are in their sometimes like early 20s, most of the time like mid-20s on that show. Like sometimes there will be people who are like pushing 30 who show up on those shows, and they are often referred to as like, basically make them seem like those people are like the old people, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm almost 30 years old and I still have not found love. My life is almost over. And then here I am in my mid-30s, as I take a bite of my Ben & Jerry's ice cream while I watch and just be like, oh, that's what we're considering old, huh? Like that's who we're saying the clock is ticking on. Oops. So me being in my mid 30s, I don't know, maybe I might be a little old for the show. Who knows? But anyways, we're going for it, all right? And we're going for it. So I did. I pulled up the application. The application's like 90 something questions long, so I kind of started, and then I thought like maybe if I closed the window, I was doing it on my phone. So I thought maybe if I closed the tab out and I just got bored, okay? 90 questions is a lot, all right? My attention span was just not there that day. So I thought if I closed the tab out, went to TikTok or Twitter, did something else, kind of, took a break, kind of forgot about it for like an hour or two. Then I went back and I'm like, okay, like let's just keep working on this, maybe do a little at a time. Went back and the app was still, or the tab was still there. It was all there. The page was there, but it didn't save any of my previous answers from the progress I had made. So I would have had to gone from the very beginning. I should have just did it on my computer, but I didn't. So I would have had to start at the very beginning. Question number 1, what is your name? And start all over again. And honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal because all the questions I had already answered were just like stuff like that, right? Like, tell us your name, how old are you, like, where do you live, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't take that long to fill out, but I don't know. I was just being lazy that day. But I did look at it, though. It's almost, like I said, it's about like 100 questions they ask you. And I think one of the questions is about like kids. Like, do you have kids or something like that? And so, yeah, I mean, who knows, right? Who knows? But it's going to be awesome when eventually it does happen. When eventually I do walk on to that villa next year. And you all who are listening to the podcast right now in September, or when this episode comes out, or whenever you happen to find it, and you can be like, oh, you know that Leonardo DiCaprio meme when he's like pointing at the TV? You can do that and you'd be like, oh, I remember I was there when Anthony first talked about this last year. I've been a part of this journey with him since the very beginning, so I'm invested now. Now he doesn't need just to find love for himself, he needs to find love for us, the people who've had his back from the jump. This is a group effort. This is a group project, people. Love Island 2025. I'm coming for ya. Okay, so there really is like a bigger point as to why I'm bringing up that whole like Love Island thing. Like, yeah, it's fun, cool idea. Yeah, we'll make it happen. But the bigger point behind me stepping in, or at least attempting something like that, right, kind of plays a part in the bigger, I guess you could say, theme of this season of the Single Parents podcast that I kind of want to get into and break down. And I think I said it a few minutes ago, but I've really been thinking a lot about this over the summer as I just took the last few months just to take a break and hang out with my kids, and I went on some fun trips, and we did a million things together as a family. It was actually a really, really good summer. My daughter just turned 9 years old a couple of weeks, and then we did the back to school shopping, and they spent a week with my parents just getting spoiled by them. And so I thank my daughters. For those of you who don't know, I have 2 daughters, 7 and 9 now, who I raise. I'm in a co-parenting situation with them, if you are new. And so every other week, me and their mom, we do the whole exchange thing. So for half of the summer, I guess technically you could say, I was just fully invested in on them. And then the weeks that they were with their mom, I was able just to kind of reflect and do some care for myself. We talk a lot about that on the show, and also just do some thinking about this show in general. So last season, the beginning of 2024, that block of episodes, if you will, the theme for that portion of the year was the hot era, right? So when it comes to us SPs, we're hot, we're worthy, we deserve to see ourselves as baddies, as the sexy people that we are. Just because we're single parents by choice or by circumstance doesn't mean we're less than, and doesn't mean we don't deserve all the cool aspects of life that are coming our way. So we spent a good chunk of that season just talking about that through different perspectives and breaking down those ideas, and it was a lot of fun. So as I was thinking and preparing for this season, fall 2024, I was like, okay, so how can we still take everything that we learned through the hot era and continue it on into this new season, fall 2024? So actually, I just stopped and just looked at, okay, well, what do I need to learn? What am I learning for myself this summer? Anthony, what are you learning? Because odds are the stuff that you're going through, other people might be thinking through, working through, might be pretty relatable. And so, like, well, let's just start with you, Anthony. What's going on with you? And I'll get more into exactly what I mean by some of this stuff next week. Next episode, we're talking about dating and my experiences with dating and relationships and stuff, and putting myself out there in different ways that happened over the summer. And yeah, that's all I'll say about that for now. But being in different types of relationships over the summer, I really was able to kind of just I guess, make sure that me as Anthony didn't get lost in the sauce, if you will. What do I mean by that? Well, speaking for myself, sometimes it's really easy for me to go 100% into not even just relationships, but everything that I do. Like everything I do, I just don't know how to say, okay, yeah, that sounds interesting, or that relationship seems cool, or that idea, I'd like to explore that. Let me just kind of, get to it when I have time, or let me see how I can divvy up my priorities. That way I can give adequate energy to this new thing or this new relationship while also maintaining all the other stuff I have going on. I just never been very good at that, to be honest. I'm the type of person who sees this new thing or this new idea or this new goal or this new ambition or this new relationship that's in front of me, and I just want to go all in, and I want to go 110%. And not that I leave everything else behind and neglect all my other responsibilities, but it just becomes me trying to become Superman and take on so much, just because I'm just 100 or 0 person. Like, if I'm going to do this thing or step into this thing, it's going to be 100%, because if I can't give 100%, then it's just going to be 0. I'm just not going to do it. And I've gotten better at that over the years. It used to be pretty crazy. So I've been through a lot of self-care work, able to learn about that aspect of myself and learn how to handle especially new things in an appropriate way, or even just know that about myself and then see new opportunities in front of me and really be able to slow down and be like, okay, Anthony, like, this opportunity for example, one thing that happened this summer is I had, like, I guess you could say, like, a new career idea pop in my head through some conversations. People were like, hey, you should look into stepping into this. You'd be really great at it. You're very social and relatable, and you would kill it. So normally, if it was any other year, I would have heard that, looked at that, thought about it, and would have been like, oh my gosh, yeah, you guys are totally right. I would totally kill it at this career. So let me just jump into it. Let me do all the things it would take to get qualified to do this. I'll do it in record time, and I'll step into it, and I'll be the best. And I already have all these strategies for how I could be the best and all those different things. But because I am learning a lot about myself, what I chose to do instead was just kind of do some evaluation, be like, okay, Anthony, you know this about yourself. You could step in and you could kill it at this, but what does your bandwidth look like personally, relationally, with your current responsibilities? Do you even have, like, a real passion and drive to step into this? And I actually pulled my kids aside and I was like, hey, so some people were thinking I should do XYZ. What do you guys think? They shared their opinion, because obviously when I'm going crazy in my life, that affects their life too. So I've been just making sure I communicate and get their input on different things. And so I weighed a lot of that over the summer, and then ultimately decided to, maybe eventually I could step into this thing. But right now, I think I'm just going to kind of keep doing what I'm doing and do my podcast and all those different things. But as I was kind of breaking all that down, I just realized that, especially as a single parent, it could be very easy just to get caught up in just what's going on right now with what you're doing right now, especially as a single parent, especially for those of us, us as P's out there who have our kids full time, 24/7. There's not any co-parenting going on. You're a single mom all the time, from when you wake up, from when you go to bed. You're a single dad. It doesn't matter the week or what have you. That's just your reality. So it's very easy just to have that consume every single part of who we are, and that just become our full identity, and that just become that 100% that I had mentioned for myself. It's easy for a lot of different things to take over and be that 100%, so that way the other things that we have going on, or maybe the other things we want to explore and to pursue or to dream about, just don't have time to come to full fruition because your cup is already overflowing, or your battery is already on E, or whatever analogy you want to use. It's just hard to step into anything else because you're already maxed out. And I really think that a lot of us need to recognize that about ourselves sometimes, and learn that, hey, you know what? Like, yes, my practical reality as a single mom, single dad, as an employee, as an entrepreneur, as all these things, that has to be the reality, right? Because I got bills to pay, I got kids to take care of, I got stuff to get done. So not saying to just dismiss all of that, but what I do want to say, which is going to lead into the theme for this season, is that, you know what? Sometimes it is okay to have all of those things about ourselves, but also say, you know what? There is actually something that I have been wanting to do, something that I've wanted to step into, something I've wanted to say, a person I've wanted to pursue. Why can't I still kill it at everything else that I'm doing, but also step into this new, while also following another dream that I have, while also being a little ambitious? Why not? Like, seriously, I'm asking. Why not? Why can't we as single parents still kick ass as single moms and single dads, but also still be people who have things and goals and things they want to say and things they want to do, and do some of those things? Why not? So that's going to lead to the theme of this season. This season is going to be the why not era of the Single Parents podcast. Why not do something that maybe you've always wanted to do? Why not say something you felt like you've needed to say for a minute? Why not take the steps to be somebody that you've maybe been contemplating on becoming for a hot minute now? Why not? Oh, well, Anthony, it's because I can't do all those things because, again, like you said it, like I have to pick up kids and I have laundry and I have to I have bills and I have to work and I have to do, and then, yes, I same here. But I think, to be blunt, sometimes we use all of those facts about our reality as maybe an excuse not to step into some of those things that we've always wanted to do. Because, I mean, to be honest, stepping into some of that new can be a little intimidating, can be a little scary, especially when we have kids, because not only, we as parents are we thinking about how this is going to impact us, but we're also thinking about how this is going to impact our kids. How, if I step into this new relationship, what is this going to look like for my kids? If I follow my dreams and pursue going to school for this thing, what is that going to look like when it comes to the things that my kids are involved in? What happens if I say this thing that I've needed to say to my family member or to a friend or to, like, how is the impact of that going to trickle down and impact my kids? We're thinking about those things. And those are, again, I'm not saying those are bad things to think about. Those are healthy things to think about. We should be thinking about those things as parents. Like I said, over the summer, I've had conversations with my kids about the things that I've been thinking about. But I think sometimes we can be comfortable in our states, in our realities, even though they may not always be the easiest. Sometimes two things can be true at the same time. Like our situations can be tough and we would like to make changes, but we're also comfortable in the toughness. We've become accustomed and used to the craziness that is our lives. And so making any type of step forward into something else or to explore an idea, it just can be sometimes more comfortable to stay in the known crazy than to step into some unknown situations or to have some conversations with people that you're not going to know how it turns out, or all these different things. So I guess that's my challenge, right, for us this season, is to look for you, listener, single parent out there, for you to look at what's going on in your life. What's something you felt like you needed to pursue? What's something you wanted to pursue? Maybe it's not even something crazy like you want to quit your job and become an astronaut tomorrow. Maybe it's just like, hey, like I have really wanted to pursue reading more. I wanted to pursue this new hobby or something like that. Why not start today reading more reading 10 minutes a day at the end of my day, so that way at least it's something and I am stepping into something I know I've wanted to do for a minute. This new hobby, why not at least just do a little research to see what bringing this hobby into my life even looks like. A relationship, why not reach out to this person I've been crushing on for a little bit and say what's up? Or I know it's scary, I know all these things, but I mean, think about it this way, right? It's this is our one life. This is our life, and we have it. And we love the fact that we get to use a lot of it to be single parents and to be parents in general and to be friends and to be successful in our careers. We love it. We love it. We love it. But at the end of the day, I always say this, like the fact that we're parents, the fact that we're all these other things describe a lot about who we are, but they don't necessarily define who we are. Even the topic of being a parent. I know, so for so many of us, our whole identity is wrapped around being so-and-so's mom or so-and-so's dad, and we love it and we're proud of it. But at the end of the day, as hard as this might be to hear, at the end of the day, our whole identity can't be just being so-and-so's mom, so-and-so's dad, because number one, that's not really healthy for our kids to have all of our personal weight invested on them. Like, that's a lot for their shoulders. But the main reality is that ideally, hopefully, like, they're gonna grow up and they're gonna have their own lives and they're gonna go on their own adventures and they're gonna have their own relationships and they're gonna become who they need to be. So it's not going to last forever, the fact, especially if you have little children listening to this, the fact that you are so-and-so's mom. You'll always be their mom. You'll always be their dad. But your life isn't always going to be revolving around them, their schedules. They're not always going to be the little ones who need you to make their lunch or who want to cuddle on the couch watching cartoons with you. And as sad as that is to hear sometimes, again, I have young daughters too. That's just the reality. So instead of living in that reality that all I am is a mom or all I am is a dad for 18 years, and then when our kids grow up and go out and do whatever, now we're stuck trying to reinvent ourselves, figure ourselves out, midlife crisis, who am I, blah, 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 blah. Maybe I'll just move where my kids are. Instead of having to just to have that crisis and 18 years or whatever and try to figure that out, what does that look like throughout the journey of parenting to be figuring that out? So that way when little Timmy or little Molly moves out, it'll be tough and we'll shed some tears, but we'll still know who we are as not just parents, but as people enough to say, okay, all right, so they're doing their own thing now. Who am I and what do I want to be doing? And hopefully we'll have the self-awareness to have some of those answers to those questions, at least have a good idea as to what those answers to those questions are. So why not start now? Why not do the thing now? Why not be the thing now? Why not say the thing now? That's what I'm going to keep asking. And that's what I was asking myself. I was sitting, I was thinking, I was watching Love Island, and I was like, man, it would be cool to apply for that show. But nah, I'm not going to do it. They'll never pick me. I'm not fit enough. I'm too old. I'm this, I'm that. And odds are I apply for the show, probably not going to get on. Again, we're manifesting that I will. That's cool. But whatever. But I had to ask myself, well, just why not? Why not fill out the application, turn it in? What's it going to harm? I'm not going to go to prison for sending in the application. My life's not going to collapse for sending in an application. Why not? So yeah, even something as silly and goofy as applying for a reality show, sometimes it's good for us just to say, well, why not? Who knows? Why not do this thing? Why not at least try? Why not? Because if at anything at the end of the day, especially for us single parents, we can just know that, hey, we deserve to put ourselves out there and to try certain things or to explore certain things, or to say certain things or to step into certain things just as much as the next person, just as much as somebody without kids, just as much as somebody who is in a married relationship whose spouse looks at them and says, yeah, babe, I think you should go for it. You need to do this. You need to do that. I have your back. Well, I'm here on the podcast today saying, hey, you single parent, whatever it is that you feel like you need to step into, I have your back. I think you got this, unless the thing that you're going to step into is like, illegal or morally bad or shady. Don't do those things. But if you're like, hey, I've always wanted to take a cooking class, there, yeah, all right, let's go. Why not take the cooking class? You got this. Again, you don't have to go in 100% and be Gordon Ramsay tomorrow. Like, you don't have to get crazy. Like, set those expectations and just be like, hey, what do I have? Let me look at my week. I have a couple of days a week. I have an extra half hour. Why not use that extra half hour to take the cooking class? Yeah, it's adding another thing to my calendar, but why not? In 10 years, I'm going to look back and say that, hey, I'm glad I took that cooking class, or, hey, at least I applied for the show, or hey, that person that I did have a little crush on and I reached out to, a few years later, we're together, and I'm glad I said why not, and I reached out to them, and we went to coffee. You just never know. So, single parents, we're in our why not era. What is it that you need to do? What is it that you need to say? Who is it that you want to be? Think about that for yourself, and then I want you to answer the question, why not step into some of those things today? Why not? It's time for a brand new segment of the podcast I am titling Deeply Single. Why? Because if you've listened to this far into the show, you're in the deep end of the episode. You're in deep. And I appreciate that. I thank you so much for listening and for sticking around and for really being a part of this community. So these deeply single segments are really going to be for the people who have made it to the end and really just might need some good reminders as we do our things out there as SPs. Good reminders that hopefully can give us some encouragement or something to think about personally, to grow, or just something to laugh about, whatever. This segment is just for the people who just need a little something to continue on their journey, because again, we're hot as SPs. We're saying why not and stepping into some cool things as SPs. But the reality is that sometimes being an SP can just be exhausting, be sometimes feel defeating, stressful, lonely, all of these different things. And so sometimes we just need a little pick-me-up. And if we are living in a house by ourselves with our kids, as much as we love our kids, I mean, it sometimes it's just nice to get that little pick-me-up from another adult, right? So this is that adult time. And I think we've said this before, probably in multiple times, multiple different ways on the podcast. But I just really, as we're in this new season, want to reiterate the fact that you, single parent, single mom, single dad, listening to the show, you are not alone. I know practically it might feel like that. Again, if your reality, I was talking to one single mom pretty recently. Actually, we just went out for her birthday last night, had a good time. But her big thing about going out to a bar for her birthday was the fact that, like, hey, like me just going out in general with other adults outside of my house, yeah, it's kind of a treat, because my reality is wake up, get kids ready for the day, go to work, pick up the kids, come home, make dinner, hang out with the kids, put the kids to bed, and then maybe at night I have some me time to watch some TV or to read a book or to do whatever. But most of the times I'm just tired and I'm ready for bed, and so I go to bed, and then that's the cycle over and over and over until we get to the weekend, and then the kids have birthdays or they want to go do this or what have you. So she's basically saying my whole life is work, kids, home, work, kids, home, work, kids, home. And so to get out and to break up that routine was just life-giving for her, because she was just able to get around some other adults, and I think it really helped with her sense of loneliness, basically, is what I'm getting at. And so for a lot of us, that could be our reality. That could be what we're going through. And so when I say that you are not alone, I know some of you might just roll your eyes and be like, well, yeah, I'm like that mom you just described. Like, I am alone. Like, it's just me and my kids 24/7, basically. But when I say that you're not alone, I want you to know it through the lens of the fact that sometimes the things that we're going through or we go through as single parents can feel as if we're the only people in the world who is experiencing some of these ups and downs, right? We're the only people in the world who is struggling financially to pay rent, right? Because I see all my other friends, especially on social media, and they're going on trips and they're buying their kids this, and even other single parents, like they're doing all these things. And we're thinking, how are they going on their 7th trip this summer? I can barely afford to buy my kids school clothes. Like, this is crazy. And we start doing the whole comparing thing. And so then we feel sometimes full of shame because we're like, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Because again, that other person, they're same situation me, single parent, whatever, and yet they get to do all these things, and maybe it's just me, and then we start feeling defeated that way. It's just really easy for us to only be able to see in our own little box, our own little corner of the world, and to assume that we're the only one who sometimes has these feelings and has these sort of frustrations and has these fears and things like that. And I was thinking about this practically, not so much when it comes to parenting, but I live basically like a little small town, right? Like small, it's like a gold mine ranching town, not the biggest metropolis in the world. And so when it comes to technological advances like internet and phone service and stuff like that, it can be a little spotty, not so consistent. And so, but last week or the week before, I think it was last week, my phone service was just crap. It was horrible. Like, I could barely go to the store, use my phone in the store to look something up, or drive down the road. Sometimes I have service at one end of the road, the other end of the road, it would just be like, hey, dude, you're not connected to anything. What's going on? And I would be like, I should be connected because I'm paying you guys all this money for my phone bill every month, and I know it's paid, so you're getting the money, so don't tell me I'm not connected to anything, because you process the bill. And there was one day in particular that my cellular data little logo or whatever went from the bars to SOS mode, which basically, if you don't know, that just means you got no service, you're not getting on any internet, your phone's basically just a brick at that point. And I was like, what in the world is going on? And I started thinking about all these situations, my phone is messed up, and this was on a Sunday, I think, so the store was closed, the phone service store was closed, so I couldn't go talk to a rep. I tried calling them, but I don't know, they just didn't answer or something like that. It was just the whole automated thing. I just didn't get any help. So I was just like, my phone's broken. What if my kids can't get a hold of me? What's going on now? I got to figure out how to pay for a new phone and all these different things. And I was like, woe is me. It's my phone. It's my situation. This is so hard. This doesn't make any sense. This is me. So finally I made it back home. I got on Wi-Fi and started scrolling through socials through my home Wi-Fi. And then eventually I saw other people in my area who had the same carrier as me saying like, hey, did anybody else get this SOS thing on their phone? And then other people, I didn't get the message. Other people were saying like, hey, yeah, the service provider sent out a message saying that their towers are messed up for like 24 hours and they're trying to fix it. And like everybody's just kind of commenting, talking about this. And the weird sense of relief that I felt, I'm just obviously annoyed that I couldn't use my phone for a while, but whatever. But the sense of relief I kind of felt knowing that I was not the only person who was going through that crap, that other people were literally getting the SOS on their phone too. It was nice because it showed, I was like, oh, okay. So it's not just me. It's not my phone. My phone's not broken. I don't have to try to figure all these things out. All I need to do is just chill because, this is a bigger issue than just my phone. Other people are going through this too. And I was like, okay. And then I kind of just, tossed my phone and watched TV on my actual TV. Because just knowing like, okay, well, it's not just me. So knowing it's not just me means like, well, then what am I going to do stressing about it? Like, this is just reality sometimes. So let me just go about my business. And then I was out and about like a couple days later, and I just was making small talk with this random stranger. And he was just talking about the fact like, hey, like what service provider do you have? And I told him, he's like, oh yeah, me too. And I haven't been able to get calls to go through and all these things. We were able just to relate about the fact that we were having phone frustrations. And even like that weird sense of like that weird thing like kind of felt good. Because again, like I was able to talk about the fact that when I was at home by myself in that very beginning of it, I was thinking, well, woe is me. Something's wrong with my phone. Something's wrong with just my situation. But to talk to somebody about the fact like, hey, yeah, I'm going through this too, even as something as stupid as phone service, it was just nice to know that we can be frustrated together about some things. And so that silly little story kind of obviously ties into the bigger point of this segment, to where sometimes in life, when it comes to things that we're going through as SPs, it can feel like we're the only people who are going through it. But I guarantee you, whatever you're going through, there's other single moms, single dads, other parents in general who are going through it too, who can relate, who can understand, who have the same frustrations, who get how tough it is to make time to do stuff for ourselves, or who understand the fact that dating is hard because people don't. There's all these different things. And that is why I started the show a couple of years ago, to have a place where hopefully we can come together as people with similar situations and stories, and to share those stories, relate with one another, maybe give advice and encouragement. Maybe you're going through something right now that another listener has gone through already before. Maybe those of us with young kids, there's listeners with older kids who've already moved out of the house, and so they've had to work through some of those things when it comes to caring for ourselves and answering, well, why not go for things? And so they're able to bring a different perspective. Or maybe like my interaction with that stranger as we just complained about our phone service together for 2 minutes. Maybe it's just, you just need somebody who understands what the frustration is, and you just need somebody to bitch and complain about certain things with for a little bit. And you don't need advice. You don't need somebody to say, well, this is what you should. You just need somebody to say, yeah, I get that, and let's complain about that together for a little bit. And because sometimes that can feel good. That's the show. That's the point of the show. That's why we're doing the things every single week. That's why I want you to make sure that you're a part of this community every single week. Make sure you use the comments. Make sure, the polls, all those different things we have across all the different platforms we use. Use those things to share your voice, so that way we can lift up and encourage each other. And if you want to share your story directly, you could do so through our email, which is thesingleparentspodcast@gmail.com. That's thesingleparentspodcast@gmail.com. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to get ready to do it for the season premiere of the Single Parents Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited to hear about the things you're going to step into the end of this year because you're saying, why not? You're just going for it, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be juicy, and it's going to be exciting. I'll see you next week. I'm going to share some dating stories. I'm going to definitely need a drink after that, but in the meantime, you all out there, just stay beautiful. Bye.